folks, it's been a while, but today I'm here to review on this set called 80108 Lunar New Year Tradition set from LEGO 2022. This set has 12 minifigures, 1066 pieces, and retailed for $79.99 USD and $89.99 SGD when it was first released. Now without further ado, let's move on to the next section, starting off with the minifigures. So as for our minifigures, this minifigures over here actually includes the family that has been in the Chinese New Year themes for across the years so far, which is basically ranging from the grandparents, parents, and the children itself. This time around though, for this 2022 set over here, basically the children have kind of not really traditional costume. It looks more of like city costume together with the parents. The only ones that are kind of in the traditional type of costume with the grandparents. And yeah, I would say that this set's minifigures honestly aren't that special in my opinion. The only special minifigure in this particular set is honestly the God of Fortune over there, which looks really nice with those printings on him and that blue epaulette as well. And other than that, here's basically a look at all their secondary expressions and their back torsos. And without further ado, let's move on to the set design. Anyways, onto our set design. As you can tell over here, it's kind of in a cubicle kind of setup with 6 cubicles connected together by a middle section, which I will show you in a bit and detach to let you see kind of what's the symbols behind there and all. But onto the first particular cubicle over here, let's look into the one whereby basically the parents are kind of watching television. And this particular cubicle is pretty cool, honestly. There's a timing over there with a sticker of 23:59 behind, so it's basically right before midnight. And we have a nice fish tank as well with some like vegetations inside, which is pretty cool, and I like how they make use of this space. And yeah, the parents and the daughter is basically watching kind of a Chinese New Year event, or perhaps a singer of some sort. So that's pretty nice looking. And if you look behind over there, that's actually a sticker of the whole family as well, which is quite wholesome. I quite like it. And yeah, that's all for this particular part. The funny part about this is, well, the father is actually kind of napping while he's watching TV, which kind of reminds me of my dad, because sometimes he just dozes off when he's watching TV as well. So it totally makes sense in this particular cubicle. So yeah. Next on, for our second cubicle, we have the part whereby, well, the son basically is visiting the grandparents for the Chinese New Year, and perhaps he's basically Bainian, which is basically visiting, and in exchange for perhaps the mandarins you give, most of the time, as someone that is not married, you get like great packets in return that has some money in it. In this case of scenarios, the grandparents perhaps could be giving something more fun towards the kids as well, such as a Lego set at the site. Otherwise, it's just pretty nice to look at the decorations inside the grandparents' house, including that particular sticker behind, which is kind of a painting of a tiger over there, which totally makes sense because this was actually released in the year of tiger. This year is actually the year of rabbit, and I've not bought any Chinese New Year sets yet, and since I haven't reviewed any Chinese New Year sets, I thought it's a nice opportunity to review this particular one from last year. So yeah. And yeah, that's kind of my opinions on this. Let's move on to the next cubicle. So the next one over here is probably the most impressive one out of the whole entire 6 cubicles, because this is the one where the God of Fortune is at. So yeah, you can see a lot of different gold pieces, a lot of those coin pieces as well, which is traditionally released back then. We even have some like red packets, and even like this idiom over here, which basically means for money to come into your house, if I would summarize properly. So yeah, all in all, I feel like this is a pretty cool section to represent kind of the Chinese New Year vibes of things, and how like fortune is actually really involved in it. And yeah, just wishing for good luck, you know. Anyways, moving on from this particular cubicle, we have kind of this area as well whereby, well, a couple is actually kind of doing spring cleaning. So this couple was actually introduced in the previous year before this one as well. So it's pretty cool to see them kind of just cleaning up and just making sure everything is clean for the new year, so on and so forth. So yeah. And next on from that, on our 5th cubicle, we have this part over here whereby, well, a shopkeeper is basically like selling some sunflower seeds and some tidbits, and even like toys that are kind of traditionally seen during Chinese New Year. And that's about it for this part. And for our last scene, or basically last cubicle, we have a father and daughter basically decorating their house, their door, and etc. Kind of just making everything auspicious for the season itself. We even have Futa on the wall and everything. and I kind of just decorating each of this over here with a whole bunch of idioms, some of which honestly those on the walls I don't really know what they mean. But yeah, it's pretty cool. They're kind of just making those arts as well to paste on the walls, kind of just decorate things. My mom usually does that during this particular season, so she'll like post or like paste on the particular walls itself of our house, and that's what they do usually. I don't really see mandarin trees these days though, honestly, but some like traditional houses they still do it, and yeah, it will look exactly like what this Lego model looks like. Mandarins, some red packets on it, and yeah, just whatever you can put on it to make it look festive, honestly. And all in all, it's pretty accurately represented, and I really like what they've done with this particular cubicle. And with that, let's move on to the next section, whereby I kind of show you what's in the middle of all of these cubicles, because there are some like printings and stickers on it as well. So yeah, let's go on to that. Going on to this middle section, the first thing you'll probably see is this cover over here, which has two idioms on it and some stickers or basically printings of the tigers over here as well, since this is from the tiger year last year in 2022. So yeah, the two idioms, one of which is basically it means for the family together and be happy, and the other one is basically welcoming the Chinese New Year. And then if we look onto the 6 panels over here, each of these panels actually represent each of those cubicles just now. So for example, this particular one over here basically represents the first cubicle, whereby the family was kind of celebrating on like, or just watching TV over there. But that's usually before the New Year starts on probably the 31st. So yeah, this is what it represents. Then after that, you will actually see this one whereby it represents the start of New Year, which is where you kind of go and take the red packets, kind of visit your relatives, and etc. So yeah, each of those panels over here basically represents each of those cubicles. For example, this one represents this, and yeah, each of these pictures represent the different ones. So yeah, I do feel that it's pretty fulfilling in this way. I love how they actually decorated the cubicles and related it back to this particular panels over here. All is just really well done. And I feel that this is probably one of the best Chinese New Year sets so far throughout the years. And I quite like the decorations of this. And yeah, that's my opinion. So for my final verdict, in terms of aesthetics, I actually give this a solid 10 out of 10, just because I feel that everything about this is really well done, and it kind of is really relatable to me, especially as a Chinese and all, especially the part where I kind of like watch TV, because this time around I went back to Malaysia. Actually, I was doing that quite a bit of the time, and my uncle actually turned on like the Chinese New Year songs, and also it was kind of festive to a certain extent as well. So that's kind of cool. And yeah, because it's relatable, I guess the functionality wise is a solid 10 as well. And last but not least, the price. I feel that in Singapore it's actually pretty cheap for $89.90, and given so many items and so many minifigures, it's a good price. So I'll give it a decent 9. With those scores, I would actually give this set A+ in my opinion, and I would highly recommend any of you buying this particular set from last year. In terms of this year's set though, the reason why I didn't buy it so far is just because I feel that it's not really that festive and that special anymore, because it feels more like a carnival ride to me than a Chinese related set. So yeah, that's my reason for not buying for this year, but I still might get it at some point in this year, just not right now. So yeah, but anyways, I hope you guys, if you are celebrating Happy Chinese New Year to all of you, 新年快乐，恭喜发财. So yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Lumos and toodles. Ciao, bye, toodles.